Welcome to part 2 of TDD and Refactoring Code Camp. Today we're going to actually finish up the exercises that we did not have time to do last time, okay, in the part 1. So we're going to start with the building movie rental application in TDD style. So if you import a project of movie rental TDD start, and that's the one we are going to start with. The exercise, you are going to start with the readme.txt file. So try to get the sense of what we are trying to do first. So let me just explain what we are planning to do first. This movie rental application computes total rental cost and total customer points. Yeah, customer points is like a frequency points. When a customer rents movies, the movie type could be in one of the 3 types: a children's movie, regular movie, and new release. In the future, we might add more movie types, and also the logic of computing rental cost and customer points, the logics are highly likely to be changed in the future. Right? So when a customer rents movie, we want to compute the total rental cost and total customer points. And so that's what we are going to start with. And rental computing, rental amount gets computed as follows. I'm going to actually read up to this point, and then we're going to start writing code. Rental amount gets computed as following. For children's movie, it's going to be $1 per day for the first 7 days and $2 after that. And regular movie is $2 per day for the first 5 days and $3 after that. And new release will have a different logic for computing the rental cost. Okay, so I provided the skeleton code. So we have movie, which has a title and movie type. This movie type is going to be children, new release, and regular. And movie type is enum. So we have new release, regular, and children. And we also have a rental, has a movie and number of days rented. Okay. Then we have a customer. So customer, we have basically the name of the customer and list of rentals. So if you take a look at the testing code, there is nothing. So basically we are going to write code. Okay. All right, so let's actually start with this. So I usually want to have a testing code on the left and the target code on the right. Okay, so let me just expand it like this. So first thing we want to do is we want to write the test of the customer in fact exists. Okay, so let's write code the testing method. So should customer can rent movies. Okay, so we want to just check whether a customer can have rentals in his rentals array. Okay, so here what we want to do is we are going to create a customer as a target object. So customer new customer like this. Okay, and we want to check whether I can actually call get rentals, and it should return some number. Okay, so I'm going to call customer and get rentals. Okay, and we want to check whether this one returns some number. Okay, so obviously we don't have get rentals method in a customer, so we're going to create that method. Create method of get rentals in the customer class. Okay, and this one is going to be just returning. It's going to just return rentals, and then it's going to be list rental like this. Okay. And we want to check whether this is null or not. Okay, so so it should not be null, right? Yeah. And let's actually do something even simpler. So we want to actually check should customer have a name. Yeah, so that maybe that's even simpler. So I'm actually trying to be starting with simplest possible TDD style application development. And again, as we learned before, we want to actually make as simple as possible, and we want to actually make the cycle as short as possible. Should customer have as name? Okay, so here I'm gonna have customer name Sang, and we don't have any constructor, so we are going to create a constructor. And so here is going to be name, and we are going to set the name. So this name here, okay, and we probably want to have get name as well. So I'm going to create the getter method for that. So I'm going to have get name method. Okay, so here I'm going to say get name, get name, and should be Sang, right? So we're gonna assert that, and customer name equal to and Sang, like this. So let's just remove this guy for now. We are going to add the method. Okay. All right, so let's actually save the change and see whether things are working. So yeah, so my infinite test says is actually successful. Okay. All right, so since this is just the beginning of the hands-on lab, I'll give you guys a few minutes to get to this point. Question from Vikram: what's the int for that rental constructor is accepting in addition to movie? Oh, that's the number of days. So if you take a look at the rental class, we have a number of days. The whole idea of TDD is that you make small changes here and there, and always actually making sure your testing is successful. Okay, so small change, the red, green refactor, red, green refactor. I mean, you don't have that much things to refactor for now in our customer class, so you know. Oh, this is certainly not the right thing to do right here. So, you know, of course, if I, yeah, I'll let you guys actually get to this point in a few minutes, and you know, of course, we need to actually deal with this one, right? Yeah. But the idea is that we want to actually get to the green as soon as possible. That's the reason that we just even hard-coded return value. But you know, this is something that needs to be addressed. Those of you who just joined, right now is a lab time for you guys to do very simple testing for the customer. Okay, so I'm going to actually add a few more testing methods. For example, adding multiple rentals and also multiple days for children. We're going to actually start with the children. So maybe I'm going to actually say here children's movie testing. Okay. So obviously this is hard-coded value, so we certainly want to compute this guy using the logic. So basically we are going to actually 1.0 times number of days of the rental. Oh, you know what? Yeah, so this is actually one rental case, right? So eventually we're going to actually have a for loop, right? Okay. So yeah, let's actually do the TDD style, even though this is kind of something really obvious, but I want to actually go step by step. Yeah. So what we want to do is now we want to actually add two rentals. Was two rentals, and each of those has a 1-day rental, and the other one maybe 2 days. Okay. Should return valid rental cost children's movie for okay. Yeah, about 2 days first, okay, and so it should be 2 days, okay, and it should be $2, right? Okay, and when I save the change, it fails, of course, right? Oops, yeah. So it's this is basically indication of the failure. Expected 2.0, but was 1.0. Okay, all right. So obviously this logic is not working. So what we need to do is we are going to actually have a for loop here for the rentals. So for rentals, rentals, and then what we are going to do is here we are going to we probably have to have double total rental cost 0 here, okay. And then we are going to so we're going to actually handle just the children's case first, okay. So rental, so it's going to be total rental cost is going to be added, and so it's going to be 1.0, yeah, so $1 times number of days rental at the number of days. So rental should be get, yeah, so it looks like it doesn't have a get number of days, so we probably want to deal with get number of days, and so here let's add the getter method, getter, and I just want to use only the method I need, so get number of days rented. Okay, so I'm going to call get number of days rented, and then that should return total rental cost. Okay, so basically we are just adding the number of days and total number of costs. Yes, so let's actually see this one works. Okay, so that worked. So we were able to the compute correctly for 2 days rent for children. Okay, so that worked fine. And okay, so now we were able to actually test the children's movie. Now we're gonna actually try the 9 days. If you remember, read me the text. Children's movie, the cost is being computed $1 per day for 7 days, but $2 after that. So we're gonna actually try to compute the 9 days rental for children. So I am going to copy this code, and rental cost for 9 days. 9 days, and it's going to be, so 9 should be, let's say 7 days, $7 and $4, so it should be $11. Okay, right? Okay, so save the change, and of course it failed, right? Okay, it should be the $11, but it returned 2. It returns, yeah, so I should actually return this. Number of days is 9. Okay. All right. So if I save the change, it expect 11, but it returns 9. Okay. So obviously this logic is not correct. Okay. So we need to actually fix this logic. So what we need to do is we need to compute differently. So if the number of days is less than 7, actually 7 like this, then this is okay, right? But otherwise, yeah, so we probably want to have if and else. Okay. Else then means number of days are greater than 7. Okay. So let's actually make sure whether the previous code still works. So I'm going to just save the change, and I'm going to just comment this code out and make sure I did not break anything by making this change. Yeah, so things are still good. Okay. So let's actually uncomment this code. And now we need to add logic. So here in this case, total cost should be oops. So in this case, we need to actually add total rental cost is basically it's gonna be the addition of $7, $1 times 7 plus, and we're going to actually compute the number of days minus 7, right? So it's going to be rental get number of days minus 7, and then it should be $2 from that point on, $2 like this, right? Okay, so let's see whether this one worked. Save the change, and the logic worked fine. So it should return the $11. So it does return $11. Okay, so that's good. All right, so so far things are good. Now we are going to add another movie. So yeah, so we already have, yeah, I should actually have this one should be like this. Okay, because when have a multiple rentals, so we're gonna actually try two children's movie rentals. So I'm gonna just copy this code, and so instead of should return valid rental cost for multiple children's movie. Okay, so in this case we are going to add another rental here. So here I'm going to copy this code, and this is going to be rental 2. Rental 2, I'm going to name it as movie 2. Children's, we're going to actually use 9 as well. Okay, 9 days. So we're going to add 2 rentals. So rental 1, rental, and rental 2. So this one should be $22, right? And $22, and we already have a valid logic. We haven't tested this for loop yet, right? But let's make sure that is working. Okay, so that still works. So basically I already have this for loop, and that for loop works fine. So when there are 2 children's movie, it worked fine. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys do up to this point. Okay, so we have done a reasonably good amount of testing for children's movies. So now we're going to actually handle regular movies. So we're going to actually regular movie testing. And it should be something very similar here. Let's actually try the this guy. And so it's going to be rental cost for multiple regular movies. For 2 days, and it's gonna be movie. I'm gonna just give 1 and 2. Yes, yeah, whatever, it doesn't really matter. So it should be regular, and this one should be regular. Okay, so for 2 days it should be returning. Let's actually see the amount that needs to be returned. For regular movie for 2 days it's $2 per day for the first 5 days, so it should be $4 plus $4 should be $8. Okay, so it should be $8. And let's save the change, and of course it failed, right? Okay, because you know, we are not using regular movie computing test. So this is the logic for the computing the rental amount per children's movie, right? So we need to have a switch statement. This is for the children's movie, and we need to we need to actually provide regular movie computation logic here. So we're going to actually have switch statement, switch case statement. Okay, and here is going to be rental, and get movie type, get. So we do not have a movie type, so we need to have get movie type in the rental class. So rental here, we are going to have let's move this guy here. Oh, actually, it's not from the rental. It should be from the movie, right? So get movie. Oh, so we don't have a get movie, so we need the getter method for this guy. So source, and we are going to have a getter method for movie. Okay, so we have a getter method. So here get movie, and then we are going to the movie type, right? So movie class has get movie type. Get looks like a movie doesn't have any movie type getter method for that, so we need to have that. So we are going to have movie type here. So we are going to have source and getters. Oops. So we want to have getter method, and get, you might as well just get title. Okay, so we have so we have get movie type here. Okay, and the value is going to be movie. In this case, this is we're gonna try with the children first. Okay, so let's make sure the children's logic still works. Okay, so I'm gonna just move up this code here. So let's actually ignore regular movie case and see whether the children's logic still works. Yeah, so children's logic still works. Okay, so even though we actually use a switch statement, so that's a good sign. So children's logic works fine. So we need to have the logic for regular movie as well. So we are going to have a case statement here, and this one is going to be regular. Okay, and the the computation logic for regular is going to be $2 for the first 5 days and $3 after that. So it's going to be 5 days, and it's going to be $2 for number of days if it's less than 5, and then it's going to be 3 days, $3, and this one should be 5, and number of days subtracted by 5. Oh, what am I? Yeah, so this is 5, and this is supposed to be 5, and then it should be $3. Okay, all right, so that is the movie regular logic. So now let's save the change, and let's actually get back to this guy, and let's see whether yeah, so that seems like it worked fine. So $8. Okay, good. So that worked fine. This logic worked fine. So again, we're gonna actually try instead of 2 days, we're gonna try 9 days. So and it's gonna be 9 days, and so it's going to be 9 days, 9 days, and this one, yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna just kind of cheat a little bit. I'm gonna save the change, and we're gonna actually see what the value is supposed to be. So the value is supposed to be $54. Okay, so I'm gonna just copy this guy, set this guy is 54, save the change, and now we are passing all the tests. Okay. All right, so we now have the computing logic for movie, the children's movie, and also regular movie, and we might as well just add the new release movie as well. So here I am going to add. So it's going to be new release, new release. And it's gonna be multiple regular, new release, new release, and new release. Okay, and of course the logic is going to fail because oops, oh, the yeah, we didn't actually use this guy as new release. That's why the testing succeeded. New release, oops, and same thing with this guy, and new release. Okay, so of course this one will fail. So again, we need to add the logic for new release. Okay, so I'm going to copy this guy. By the way, since there is nothing much to refactor, I have not been refactoring. But one refactoring we could do is, in fact, the extracting constant this from this value. So that's something I'm gonna do in a few minutes. So it's gonna be new release, and if you take a look at the new release logic here, new release supposed to be $3 for the first 3 days and $6 after that. Okay, so $3 for the first 3 days, and then it's going to be $6. Yeah, so I have to change this one to 3 and $6. $3 for 3 days, and then the $6 after that. Okay. All right, so that is the logic. So let's save the change. And again, I'm going to cheat a little bit to make sure that I got the right data. So he's supposed to be $12. So I'm going to just set this guy as 12. I think it's probably correct. And this one is supposed to be 54, but was 90. Yeah, this should be 90. Okay, so now we have handled the new release, regular movie, and the children's movie. But we haven't actually tested the case where the multiple movies are being rented. Okay, so different types of rented. So here we are going to say should return valid rental cost for multi-type movies for 3 days, 5 days. How about that? Okay. Okay, so now we are going to, yeah, I have to have testing here. It's probably not really needed, but just for the consistency. So I am going to this time, so here I'm gonna just copy this code, and one is gonna be children's movie and the other one is new release. Okay, so here is going to be about regular, and this one is new release. Okay, so now it's supposed to be. So let's save the change, and it failed, and the value is supposed to be 90, but was 72. Yeah, so it should be 72. Okay, so we have tested the rentals of multi different types. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so now maybe this is a good time that we do a little bit of refactoring. So let's see. We have yeah. First of all, we have one giant method, right? So compute total rental cost. Okay. What we want to do is first of all, let's actually do the simple things. We're gonna actually change this guy to constant values. Yeah, I'm not gonna change everything, but I'm gonna just change the at least one of this. So we're gonna actually extract so extract constant. So I'm gonna say $2. And this one is $3, and this one is $6, something like that. Okay, so let's make sure that things are still working fine. Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay, yeah. So somehow I cannot really see the my infinite test. So okay, so things are still fine. I'm not gonna actually do these things, so that's actually for your exercise. Now let's see what we can do refactor in this case. The first thing I noticed is that this compute total rental cost is huge. I mean, it's basically the huge for loop, and basically it's different movie type is actually computing it. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna actually let you guys do the work up to this point. Okay. Yeah. So rather than continue. So what we see in this compute total rental cost is one giant long method, and obviously this is the obvious code smell. It doesn't look right. Okay, so it's too big as a method. Okay, so we're gonna actually refactor. So basically what we want to do is we're gonna capture this guy as a logic of compute individual rental cost. Okay, so again, the one of the big reason that you want to do refactor is to make the code more readable. This one is not really clear what it's actually trying to do. So we're gonna actually capture this guy, this giant switch statement. We're gonna actually refactor. We're gonna actually extract the method. Okay, so it's Alt Shift M, and we are going to call, let's see, compute individual rental cost. Okay. All right. So this one is a lot more straightforward than before. Okay. So here we are basically for each rental, we are going to call compute individual rental cost, and then it's going to return total rental cost. So we just kind of move it out into a separate method. Okay, so let's save the change and make sure everything is still succeeding in terms of testing. So that is the case. Now, if you see, we are actually passing total rental cost here, right? and we're actually using it to just to add things up, and that's not really needed, right? So basically what we want to do is we want to just compute the individual rental cost, just sending rental, and basically we want to add like this, okay? And so we don't need this guy. And yeah, so you know what, I need to actually change this guy to individual. I want to actually change this one to all the individual cost. So maybe I want to actually do individual rental cost like this, okay? And then I'm gonna remove this guy, okay? And we need to have double individual cost 0.0. So the this method is supposed to just compute the rental cost per rental, okay, for each of this guy, and then we're gonna just add it. So let's actually save the change and see everything is still working fine. So that is the case. That's cool. That's good. All right, maybe this is the good time to do some lambda expression. So this is basically we can convert into lambda expression. So let's actually try that. So I'm going to just comment this code out. This could be done later on, but let's actually see whether we can do this now. Rentals. Okay, rentals is a stream. Yeah, so is rentals is what? It's already a stream. So it is already a list of rentals. So I should be say stream, and then I should say basically we are the mapping a rental, and then we are basically calling compute individual rental cost with rental, like this. And then we are mapping to double, so it's going to be some number, like that. And then we are going to dot sum, like this. And then we need to return. Okay, right? So let's see whether that works. Okay, so that's success. That was successful. So we could actually, instead of doing a for loop, we could certainly use the streams with the lambda expression. Okay, so that's better. Now let's take a look at this code. It's again is one giant, well, it's still pretty big a method, isn't it? So the first thing I noticed in this case is that in this method, it's using the data from rental class, and it's not using any data in the customer class, right? Customer class has a name and a list of rentals. So this logic is actually using some other classes data, like a movie, right, or a number of days. So this is probably not the right place to have this logic. We need to actually move this guy to the rental class. If you actually move this guy to the rental class, that's actually better, because it's going to actually use this number of days rented and the movie type and things like that right away. Okay, so I'm going to select this guy, and again you are going to refactor, and we are going to move to rental class and continue. Okay, so what the Eclipse has done is that it still leave this old compute individual rental cost method, okay, but it actually added, if you take a look at the rental class, now it does have this compute individual rental cost method. And you can see it's actually using its own method right away. So this is actually a better place to have this computation of individual rental cost. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're gonna actually, so let's make sure that we save the change and the test succeed. Okay, so that's good. So instead of actually using this old method, okay, we are going to use the new method in the rental class. So here we are going to use rental and compute method, and again save the change, and that should work fine. And this method should not be used by anybody, so let's just comment out, save the change, and to make sure testing still succeed, and then remove the code and save the change, and things are still good. Okay, so I'm gonna just remove this code. Okay, all right, so this is the customer class, which is actually simplified. Basically, we are going through the rentals, and then we are going to compute the individual rental cost from a rental class. Then we convert into a double, and then we create a sum, and that's basically it. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm going to give you guys about the 5 to 10 minutes to do up to this point. So where can we use the strategy pattern? Anybody? So let me give you actually why we want to use a strategy pattern. As we talked about in the beginning of this requirement, in the future, we might want to add more movie types. So in addition to children's type and regular type and new release type, we might in fact add 10 or many more different movie type. Okay. Now the thing, the thing is that if you happen to have a switch statement like this, you probably have that same switch statement in many locations of your code. That's another example of this. When we do compute customer points, because computation of customer point is done differently depending on the movie type. For example, new release will actually have a different way of computation of customer point. In a typical application, when you have this kind of switch statement, and that switch statement will be duplicated in many different locations of your code, that is very typical, and that is a kind of result in duplication of the code. Okay, so that's not good. So what we want to do is, instead of actually, so if I want to have another movie type, let's say movie underscore cartoon, right? Then I have to go all the locations where we have a switch statement and add logic. And that means you are actually modifying existing code, and those code need to be retested, and it's not good. So basically, in software, there is what is called the solid principle. One of those principles is in fact what is called the open for extension but closed for modification. Anybody has heard of that important principle, design principle? Open for extension and closed for modification. Anybody has heard of it? Anybody knows what it is? Anybody can explain what that is? What is that principle for? Open for the extension, but closed for modification. It's very, very important principle. Yeah, okay, so Vikram said it means features can be added. What that means is that if you want to add a new feature, you do not want to modify the existing code. Instead, you want to just add code. Okay, so you want to be able to actually extend the feature, meaning adding a feature by adding new classes rather than modifying existing classes. That makes sense, right? If you could do that, then you should be able to actually, all the existing code, including testing of those existing code, do not need to be changed. So that is the actually very important principle. So if you think about the scenario where we need to add a new, let's say, the movie type, if you do this switch statement, every time I need to add new movie type, movie cartoon, then I have to go all the existing code that have this switch statement and change, right? That's not good, right? So that's where you want to actually use the strategy pattern in this case. Okay, so anybody has used the strategy pattern? No? Okay. So I'm going to actually show you how we can how we can use the strategy pattern to in a way that we don't violate that open for extension but close for modification design principle. So what we want to do is basically something like this. We might want to in fact add private, and I'm going to actually have some kind of interface. So it's going to be compute individual rental cost. Yeah, so I want to just make sure this is an interface, so I'm actually using I as the beginning letter just to indicate that this is interface. And then I'm going to say, oops, what am I doing here? So here I compute cost, like this. And what I want to do is, I want to actually use polymorphism. So basically, when I compute the individual total cost, I want to do something like this. So I'm going to actually have another method here. Okay, so I'm going to just have another method like this. Protect compute individual rental cost using strategy pattern. And here, what I want to do is I just want to use this guy and then compute the individual compute rental cost, like this. In this case, this is gonna be injected whenever rental object is created. Okay, so we're gonna actually have. So let me actually show you the interface I'm talking about. So I'm gonna create the interface here, and it's gonna be compute public double compute rental cost. Okay, and then here basically so it's going to be return like this. Okay, so instead of actually doing this, okay, I'm going to just comment this guy out. I want to be able to call like this. And if I, then whenever I need to actually, use this guy, I need to have this guy kind of injected. I could actually inject it as using a setter method or a constructor method or even an argument. I'm going to actually use the constructor method. So let's actually create a constructor method for the rental class. So the constructor method, generate constructor using fields. Okay, so I'm going to use all this. Okay, so whenever rental object gets created, a particular implementation of rental, compute individual rental cost object will be injected, and the actual implementation could be different. It could be in fact the one for children and one for regular and one for new release. But see this code. In this code, basically this object that was injected when the rental object gets created is going to call just compute rental cost. So what that means is that this code does not have to be changed, even if I'm actually adding a new type, because the new type is going to be injected through the constructor. Let me just close this guy. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's actually move on. I am going to, so when we actually create the rental object, we need to pass. We need to actually pass so you know what? Yeah, I don't want to actually, so we want to actually do step by step. Okay, so we're gonna still make sure that testing still works. So save the change. We haven't really, used this model yet, right? So existing testing code still works fine. Okay. All right, now let's actually see so what we want to do is, now when we actually using this rental class, we want to inject a different implementation. So we're gonna actually create a new implementation. You know what? Yeah, another thing that we haven't done is actually when we create the rental class, we haven't like written rental test class, right? We have, so that's probably something that we want to do first. If you see, we have a customer test class, but we haven't really written a rental test class. So let's create a rental class to make sure, whenever you're making a change to rental class, you want to make sure that unit testing exists. So we're going to actually create the rental test class first. So it's going to be rental test. Okay, so we're going to actually have the test. Should compute rental cost for children's movie for 2 days. Okay, so this should be rental and new rental. And rental should be new movie, and it's going to be movie name, child 1 or something like that, child 1, and then it's going to be the movie type. So movie is going to be children, and then it's going to be 2 days. Okay, so we need to make sure that the rental and compute individual cost, this one should be 2, right? So let's say assert that this one, assert that this one should be equal to 2. Okay, yeah, and then we have to add this guy. Okay, so let's make sure that testing is still, yeah, so now rental test is working good. So just make sure that we have the 9 days. 9 days for children, and 9 days. And this one should be, I believe, $11. Yeah, so let's save the change, and it works fine. So I mean, we certainly want to add a few more tests to make sure the the new release and regular the movie type also works, but this is good enough. Okay, all right, so now we have a rental test, so we should be able to actually make some changes in rental. We actually made some changes in the so what we want to do is yeah, so I'm gonna actually have rental test here, and we have a rental. So we have yeah, so this is the another constructor. So I'm gonna just move up here. So we have a 2 constructor, okay, and yeah, so we want to use this one as this and number of movie and number of days, like this. Okay, so we have 2 constructors. Okay, so make sure that testing still succeeded. So what we want to do is basically, instead of actually calling this new rental, we want to use the inject. We want to create an injected version of it. So here I'm going to actually copy this code, and we are going to actually 3 days should rental cost for children movie for 9 days. I'm going to inject. Yes, I'm going to just say strategy pattern. Strategy pattern. Okay, I mean, it's not a good name, but just to do a demonstration purpose. So when I create rental, I should be able to create the actual implementation of the children's computation. So basically, I should be able to actually say new I should be able to have the children's compute individual rental cost. So I'm going to say here new children, like this. And we haven't created this guy yet, so I'm going to actually create this class, create the this class, and not in test but main. Okay, finish. Okay, and here we want to actually extend the implement this interface. So we're going to implement this interface, and we are going to add unimplemented method. And here, compute total cost, the logic is this guy. This is the logic I want to use. So I'm going to just copy here. Okay. And now basically when I actually use this one, I need the number of days, right? So, basically I should have int number of days rented. Okay, so we are going to actually have this guy replacing this and this, and individual cost, it should be set double like this, and then it should be returning like this. Then save the change. Okay, so now let's see what this guy is. Oh, so this guy I need to actually, so it should have let's actually go to this interface method and should receive int type. Okay, F3. Okay, here we go. So it should be int number of days rented. Okay, save the change. Okay, so cool. So basically, if you see what I did here, I have implementation for children's compute individual rental costs, which implement this interface, and it does have its own logic. Same thing for regular. So we probably need to actually have regular. So because let's actually save the change, and we have a testing failure. So let's actually see what testing failure we have. Okay. So we have rental compute, and this one is, oh, okay. So here we have to actually pass the number of days. Okay. Let's save the change. Okay, so we actually got back to the working condition. We are not using this implementation yet, right? Because I'm actually using old code, just using to this guy. So we're gonna actually try to use the strategy pattern again. So here we are going to again trying to add. It is new children's compute rental cost. That should be. Why it doesn't like this rental? So let's see what it says. The constructor rental movie int children compute individual rental cost is undefined. So we have this guy. So if I take a look at the code here, it is in fact the implements I compute individual rental cost, and that is the type of this guy. So why it doesn't like that? Oh, now it's everything. Let's see, invested. Do we have any still? Yeah. Why it doesn't like children compute individual rental cost object. Why it doesn't actually constructor rental children. It's interesting. Yeah, this one is definitely the type of I compute individual rental cost, and I do have that as a constructor, and it's public, and yeah, I'm not sure why is actually causing this problem. Okay, and add this guy, and this one should be regular, and the logic here is basically just capturing the logic that we have here. So we're gonna actually have this guy, yeah, I'm gonna just 2.5, yeah. So here is going to be the number of days, and number of days, and number of days. Okay, so that is for the regular. Now we're gonna actually have a new release as well. So let's copy this guy, and then and we're gonna call it new release, and here. Okay, so new release is going to be we're gonna again get the logic from here. So copy this guy, and then okay, then we're gonna just replace this method with this number of days. Okay, so we save the change. Okay, so basically what we now we you know what, the testing method should now use the we want to actually use the compute individual rental cost using strategy pattern. Now let's see whether this one works. Okay, that worked. So now we are using strategy pattern. Okay, so the in our test we could actually do the same thing here for children. Yeah, so I want to actually remove the this compute rental cost thing. So I'm gonna just comment this guy out and make sure that this one still works fine. Okay, and then I want to actually remove this code. So we're gonna actually use this code instead of this guy. So basically replace the switching logic with the strategy pattern. So I'm gonna just comment this guy out, save the change, and let's see. Yeah, so we have now customer. Oh, okay, so in this case now we are supposed to use the rental so you know what, in this case we have to actually use the strategy pattern using strategy pattern. Okay, and save the change. Let's see. Okay, so now let's see what is actually being failing. So the test, so we probably customer test. Yeah, so the customer test now is failing. Let's actually see why it's failing here. Okay, so the reason it's failing is assert that compute total cost is 1.0. Let's see what is failing. null point exception. Okay, so should return valid rental cost and move it to 1 day. So whenever you have actually big problem like this, you want to actually go back to old code and make sure that you get the working condition first. Okay, so the let's see, compute total cost is, let's see, this one is, we have, let's actually go to this code and the, oh, okay, so we are going to change it back to this guy. I want to actually go back to compute. So this is the one, and this is what we have changed, right? Oh, the in the rental class, we can actually uncomment this guy and save the change. And customer. Oh, remove this guy. Okay, so we got back to the working state. Okay, so now let's see. Obviously we do not want to use the compute individual rental cost method. We want to use the individual the rental cost using strategy pattern. So let's make sure that we actually testing strategy pattern things. This is the customer class. We want to make sure that rental class everything is working fine using strategy pattern. So if you take a look at the rental here, we have using strategy pattern, and this one is actually computing number of days rented. And so we know that this one works fine because in our rental test class, okay, so this one works fine. This one is, and we basically passing compute the children's, and it's actually returning $11. So this logic is working fine. So that means this logic is working fine. So now we are going to actually get back to customer here. So here from rentals, and we are going to create. Oh, you know what? The reason customer fails is because the customer test, when we create the rental, we didn't actually pass the, so yeah, so we're gonna actually comment out all this code, okay? We're gonna actually try just a few, okay? Because when you create the rental, we didn't actually pass the children's compute injection, the dependency object. That's why. So I'm gonna just instead of actually changing everything, I'm gonna just try just one, okay? So what is the most complex one? So I'm gonna just comment this guy out. So we probably have to change all this testing code, but I'm gonna just choose one. Okay, and here we want to actually have another code here that we are going to using strategy, and here when we create the rental, we have to actually pass the children's, new children's, and the same thing here, new children, like this. Oops. Okay, so now we are not going to actually use this guy because we're going to actually remove the code. Yeah, so we might have to actually pass all this the injection, the dependency object in our testing code, but for the demonstration purpose I'm going to just have one of this, okay? And then we are going to remove, we are going to actually now using strategy pattern like this. Save the change, so everything is good. Okay, Now I am going to remove that code in the rental class. So now I'm gonna remove this code. Okay, and save the change, and this one still works fine. So at this point, we can just kind of uncomment this guy, and then again we are going to add this new children like this, new children like this, and save the change, and the testing still should work fine. So basically we should be able to actually do the same thing for others. So for the case of regular testing, so let's choose the regular testing, one of the regular testing here, and here we are creating new, and this time it's going to be regular compute. Same thing for here, new regular like this, and save the change, and that should work fine. So what we have achieved, so we're gonna actually delete the whole, so basically what we have achieved is that in this rental class we were able to use this dependency injected compute individual rental cost object, and basically the only thing we have to do is actually call the method of that object. And because this object is reflecting different injected object, it could be children's, and it could be regular, it could be new release, correct version of compute rental cost method will be invoked. So we don't have to actually use this the switch and else statement anymore. So whenever you need for example, if you need to actually add movie cartoon, so let's actually try that. Okay, so we are going to add a movie type. So here we're going to add movie cartoon. Okay, now it's a matter of creating a movie cartoon computation logic. So basically all I have to do is I'm going to just copy one of this code, and I'm going to make it's going to be cartoon. So in order to support the new type, I just create a new class. I don't modify any existing class. So cartoon, and let's say we are just adding a different logic. It's going to be the $10 each day, all right, something like that. Okay, and I should be able to existing code does not have to be changed. I don't have to change the customer class. I don't have to change movie class. I don't have to change anything. It's basically by adding a new class, I am adding a new feature of computing individual rental cost. Okay, if you're using if and else statement, or if you're using switch statement, then I have to change the modify existing code, and that's not good, because again it's forcing me to rewrite the testing rewrite the existing testing code and all those things, and that is a lot of implication. Okay, all right, so it looks like it's taking a little longer than expected, and I apologize for the that mistake that I made and couldn't find out for a long time. All right, so I'm gonna let you do this exercise up to this point.